folks. Hello. So I just need to oil the train, but I am kind of experiencing issues with the other camera. As you can see, the train camera looks like it's just dying, so I need to figure out what's going on with that. So just give me a few moments to just kind of get everything together, and yeah, we'll see what I can do. Because I have no idea what's going on with this camera. Okay. Come on. What is wrong with you? Come on. Oh boy. I think this camera is done. Yeah. All right. Just move this over here, I guess. Go ahead and enlarge that. All right. Sorry about that. The camera is done. It's just not gonna do anything. So I guess right now what I'll do is I'll just oil the train. I'll get that going. That was one thing I did not want to have to spend money on, was yet another camera. So I can't see your guys' comments at the moment, but I swear I will be right there. Just gotta do this thing. Sometimes it's really hard to see what I'm doing. There we go. Let me just clean up real quick. This needs the cap. That on. Just need to grab a paper towel. There we are. All right. Hello, everybody. Let me just check the comment section. Come on. All right, who do we got here? We have Goofy Rolls, Tiki Ghoul, Eternal Travels. Hello, Mike. Hello, Blue Drop. Hello, Tyler. Hello, Kevin. Ken, Jimmy, Mark, Spirit of Roanoke, Geez, this thing keeps moving, so I can't... Wow. Jeez. Yeah, the train camera is dead. I was kind of getting the feeling that it would be because for a little while now it's been getting these weird little lines that show up in the screen, and then right now as I was setting it up it just wasn't working. So that webcam was, and that one's a webcam, this one's like an actual camera, but that webcam was like $55. So I do not look forward to replacing it, because anything that is even close to the same quality is gonna be like $50 or $60. Webcams are ridiculously expensive for how junky they are, you know? It doesn't make any sense to me. Oh, that's right, I was gonna pre-warm these. Jeez. I am running behind today. Moonzer, Queen Mary does not have a third class pool. Third class would use the first class pool at certain times of the day. And the second class pool, yeah, it did get turned into the 4D theater, which exists on the Queen Mary today. So that's unfortunate, but, you know, that's what happened after the Queen Mary came to Long Beach. But yeah. Alright, so let me just get some hot tap water to fill these real quick. So I'll be right back. Hope that light is in the right spot. Okay. And I'm sitting lower than usual because... Oh, wait, no. This is the right chair. Okay, there we go. That's better. Wow, I am not prepared today. Okay. So the water is preparing to boil. Got everything set up here. Kluger, hello. Tyler says, I'm now watching my last movie before Thanksgiving. My favorite movie, Titanic. Awesome. The chat is not keeping up with... Let's see, here we go. What is that? Hello, Lori. Happy Thanksgiving. Christian, don't worry about it, but it's good to see you. Hello, Chris. Derpy says, which liner do you think had the best first-class corridors? The best first-class corridors? I haven't seen too many, to be honest. Maybe Aquitania? Yeah, maybe Aquitania. I'm just throwing something out there because I don't know. I haven't seen too many first-class corridors. Hello, Derpy. Yes, happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Let's see. If someone could donate it so it won't affect your trip, a camera on the train would be cool. So it is possible for me to do a camera on the train. But the reason why I don't is because the train is always going around in a circle, which means the camera would always be facing out towards the apartment. And when I do these tea time streams, it's not like I just like set up one camera and a light and then I'm good. It's the whole apartment has been taken over by camera equipment. And so it looks like a mess. And I'm not usually messy. My apartment is usually scary clean. And so I don't want people to see the camera on the train. As the train goes around, it sees this big messy apartment with equipment everywhere and, you know, all the cabinets open and everything. And, you know, and then, yeah, it ruins the illusion of how nice this, you know, this tea time looks. So I decided not to do that. So that's why. But there's literally tons of equipment, cables strewn about, reaching all the way to the computer. You know, the light rigs are just everywhere. So it is an extreme mess whenever I do these tea time streams, which is why I don't do them every day, because it takes me an hour to set up. So I started the stream at 4. I started setting up for the stream at 3. So yeah, it takes an hour to set everything up and make it look nice for the tea time stream. So yeah, I don't want to do that. Have the thing. Daniel says, hey Alex, why does Mauretania and Aquitania have the vents while Lusitania didn't? Lusitania did, it's just she didn't have the same type of vents. So the ones that Mauretania and Aquitania had were traditional cowl vents. But the ones that Lusitania had, they were kind of experimenting with a new type of vent. It's the exact same thing. It's a hole in the middle of the ocean liner. But instead of it having kind of a horn shape that comes up to scoop the air, it's just a flat top with like they look like trash cans. A lot of people like to nickname them like trash cans because they literally looked like a cylinder with a lid on top. The problem with those is that they didn't work that well. The traditional cowl vents worked a lot better. So, but yeah, Lusitania did have just as many ventilation ports as Mauretania did. It's just that they had a different type of vent. So, yeah, Spirit, I saw that you fell off your hoverboard. That's crazy. That's why I don't play around with that stuff. Tyler says, as much as I love Titanic, I admit that the best swimming pool on an ocean liner is definitely Queen Mary. Oh yeah, hands down. Queen Mary swimming pool is the best swimming pool on any ocean liner. It is unbelievably beautiful. Hello, Sheridan. Thank you so much. Yeah, I wish the camera was working so you guys could see it up close, but it's another thing I'll have to spend money on. Moonzer says, what is the menu today? So today, as usual, we have the homemade Scottish shortbread. Then we have the chocolate-covered McVitie's. And then I made some simple egg sandwiches because I didn't have the ingredients for the cucumber sandwiches. So I just made egg sandwiches. Derpy says, do you think you'd ever play Titanic Echoes from the Deep once it comes out? It's an indie project being done by Herman Jarl, who I think definitely deserves more support. Is that the one where you can explore the wreck of Titanic? Goofy Roll says, hi Alex, wish you and your entire family a happy Thanksgiving. I don't know why they say happy and not merry. It's just what we say in the United States, like, you know, it's just happy Thanksgiving. But we don't say happy Christmas, so that's interesting. We say happy Thanksgiving, but we don't say happy Christmas. Okay. So we pour out half. And we just let that warm up. Okay. Chris says, "Hi Alex, thanks for the recent update on Queen Mary." Oh, you're welcome. Spirit of Roanoke says, "When do you assume that your next train layout video will come out?" I don't know, because the top priority is making content on the channel that people will actually watch. The train content, it will get very little views. That's okay with me, but I first of all, I need to get the views back up to where they need to be on the channel. The Queen Mary update video has helped boost that, but now I'm working really hard on putting out another video, this time about Queen Mary's dog kennels. So I'm hoping that that might be a popular video that people would want to watch. I did some surveys on my channel. It seems that as much as I want to venture out into other topics, it seems that people only really want to watch ocean liner content on the channel for the most part. There's, you know, a few people who really do want to see other content as well, but the majority of people on my channel, for some reason, just want to see ocean liner content, which is ironic because I'm not really an ocean liner channel, so I don't know where that came from. But yeah, so I have to do what the crowd wants if I want the channel to survive. So right now I'm just focusing on getting the views back to normal. Once the views are back to normal, then I'll have the time to be able to, like, shut this down and continue working on it. So yeah, we'll see. I really couldn't tell you. I'd love to be able to predict my schedule. Sorry, an eyelash is like really just tangling with the other eyelashes. I'd love to be able to create like a schedule or something where people can actually like see what videos are coming out. But the problem is that's entirely based on if the people will watch the videos. If the videos aren't popular, I have to change it all around, and then I can't do anything at the schedule I want to do. So it's just so unpredictable. That's just the nature of YouTube, though. All right, let's go ahead and bring that back up to a boil. Christian, yes, I did know about that. Daniel, nice. I hope you enjoy your time in Mexico. Okay, so let me empty this out first. Fill that back up. Dump this halfway. So today will be Earl Grey tea. Perfect. 4:25 will be when the tea is ready. Back to the questions. Let's see. Kloger says, personally, I'm not really a tea guy. I prefer more hot chocolate, but yet again, people have their own preferences. I prefer hot chocolate too, over tea, believe it or not. But what I do for these tea times is really all about just kind of taking a moment, 2 days out of the week to just kind of relax, enjoy this Cunard tea set, and, kind of just take a moment and kind of pretend, like perhaps I'm on the original Queen Mary on a voyage and just having tea. So, yeah. But tea is not my favorite beverage. My favorite beverage would probably be... Do I have one? Well, for the holidays, I really like hot chocolate and I really like eggnog. Those are my two favorite drinks for the holidays. But on a normal day of the year... I guess on a normal day of the year it would be tea. But yeah. But yeah, nevertheless. If you're going to have a Cunard tea set, you might as well make tea. Okay, so... Kluger says, I also watch these streams because I feel like I have people to talk to about ocean liners and stuff. I really enjoy these streams. Well, thank you. Yeah, that's what it's all about, is just talking about, all these things that interest us and stuff like that. Jeffrey says, do a double feature on the Queen Mary and Disneyland kennels. Yeah, Queen Mary kennels, yes. Disneyland kennels, not so much. Goofy Roll says, when you say get the views up, what number are you talking about? I could spread the word to my friends and family if that would help. It would always help, yeah, but we're talking thousands. So, let's just say, like, back in summer, if I had randomly, at any point in the day, decided to check on my YouTube and see how many people were watching videos on my channel at once, and that in that given moment, it would be like, let's say, about between 1,000 to maybe 1,300 people at any given hour of any given day. Right now, those views are more like, well, keep in mind the Queen Mary update video helped boost it a little, but right now those views are about 300 to maybe 400. So it needs to go up about almost 1,000 views. Yeah. What it was before I put out the Queen Mary update was like 74. So can you imagine that? Going from 1,300 views at any given hour of the day down to 74 views at any given hour of the day. The views dropped incredibly on this channel for some weird reason. And people just were not watching the content. But like I said, the Queen Mary update did boost that a little bit, but I've got to keep the momentum going. So once it's stabilized and gotten closer to, any given hour of the day, closer to 1,000, even if it was at 700, that would still be better than what it's at now. I'd like to keep those views back at my normal level. So, but it's been months since it's been there. Just something happened and it just, something went out of whack or something. Chris says, did RMS Queen Mary have any onboard cats, like a ship's cat? As far as I've been aware, no. I haven't heard of any onboard cats. Empire of Waterloo says, are you doing anything for fun for Thanksgiving? Oh yeah, I'm having a feast with my family. So every year I make the turkey and the stuffing, and that's what I do. So yeah. My dad used to do the turkey and the stuffing every year, but he's retired from that. So now he only makes the cranberry sauce. But he makes amazing cranberry sauce. So, yeah. But, yeah, I'm making the turkey and the stuffing. And I'm also going to be making the gravy, because a lot of my family likes to have gravy with the turkey. I can do without gravy, but they really like having gravy with the turkey. So... yeah, so that's what I'm doing. And the rest of the family, they're making all kinds of stuff. I think we're going to have scalloped potatoes. We're going to have green bean casserole. We're going to have homemade yeast rolls. And something else. And then for dessert, we have pumpkin pie. So, yeah, going to be with my family. Okay, it is time for the tea. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Daniel says, what's sad is a lot of people I know say that Mexico is a dangerous place, but I think it's because where it is mostly is in large cities, but I go to small towns and the people there are so nice. Yeah, you know, I myself wouldn't want to take a chance and go to Mexico. I know what... You see, in the past, I probably wouldn't have been so worried, but when I worked at Disney as in my early 20s, I had this coworker. What is going on here? I had this coworker who pretty much made, I would say, weekend trips down to Mexico. He went down to Tijuana, and then maybe like a few places near it as well. But he did that pretty much every weekend. One day he stopped showing up for work, and everybody was like asking each other, like, "Have you seen him? Have you seen him? Where's he gone?" And every day that went by, he never showed up for work. And eventually, Disney management called his family to say, "Hey, like, where is this guy? Because he's not answering the phone. He's not, you know, we can't reach him by email." The family says, "We don't know. He went to Mexico for his, you know, his usual weekend trip, and he never came back. We filed a missing persons report and all that, and, you know, as far as I know, he was never found. We never saw him again." And I asked a coworker who knew the family. I said, "Did they ever hear of him again?" And they were like, "No, never heard of him." So yeah, he just plain went missing. So yeah, that kind of told me, I was like, yeah, I don't know if I want to visit Mexico. I mean, that can happen here in the U.S. You know, someone can get kidnapped. I mean, it happens, unfortunately, every day. But, you know, Mexico's kind of got a reputation for that, unfortunately. Ozzy says, "Hey Alex, how is your weather? Happy Thanksgiving. Any snow?" No, not yet. So it rained a lot yesterday. It was just a random rainstorm. And then today it was still kind of damp outside, but the sun came out. And it's actually been a little bit warmer these past 2 days than it's been usually. Like, usually it's been maybe high 30s, early 40s Fahrenheit. But today it was about 50 or 53 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's been a little bit warmer than it usually is. Yeah. Hello, Evan. Happy Thanksgiving. Oh wow, Goofy Rolls, your mom's gonna have Thanksgiving aboard the ship. Oh, that's amazing. I bet there's gonna be a really nice feast. Christian says, "What is your opinion on the 2012 sinking of the Costa Concordia and the captain leaving the ship while there are people still on board?" I remember that. I remember when it happened. And it was really upsetting to see that because, you know, you expect that a captain has the passengers' best interests and safety in mind. But that captain was only thinking about himself. That's really all he was thinking about. He wanted to impress people, which is why he got so close to the island. And then when things started going south, you know, he couldn't be relied on. And then he tried to escape and get back to shore. And, you know, it's unbelievable. People didn't have to go through that kind of suffering and trauma, you know, and death just because someone wanted to make an impression. Unfortunately, though, that is what humankind is like. You know, like, mankind is just vain. And that vanity gets us in trouble a lot of times. So, but yeah, it was really tragic, really sad. You know, I remember crying when I first heard about it, and, you know, and seeing all the reports and stuff, because it was just all over the news. It was all over the news. And, yeah, it was unbelievable. Hello, Cindy Lou Who. Hello, Rena. Happy Thanksgiving. Cindy Lou Who, happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Let's see. Doc says, hi, Alex. Sorry I'm late. Definitely adding these tea times to the list of things I'm thankful to have discovered this year. Oh, thanks. Cindy Lou says, sounds like the most delicious holiday meal with your family. Oh, it's going to be amazing. I look forward to Thanksgiving every single year. And it is nice to have my family together, you know. Reina says, my mother-in-law always tells me to never go to Mexico. Yeah. Katie says, you gotta watch 1899, my guy. Or is it Cotty? Or is it Kate? I think it's Katie, but you gotta watch 1899. Yeah, I really want to. So my friend Chris and I, we usually watch shows together. We go on Discord and we watch shows and stuff. And right now we're trying to just blast through The Crown so we can get to The Crown Season 5, because I haven't seen it yet. And he's, you know, we're almost done with Season 4. So, but yeah, and he doesn't want to start 1899 until we finished another show. So we have like maybe 3 or 4 shows that we're kind of in the middle of, and he doesn't want to start 1899 until we get through one of those shows, you know. So, yeah, hopefully. I really want to see 1899 soon. Doc says, Alex, I was an archivist assistant in undergrad, wondering if there is a central archives for Queen Mary where they store artwork, artifacts, etc. Yes and no. Yes, there's a place where they store that stuff, but no, it is not considered an archive. I mean, they call it an archive, but it is by no means cared for in the way an archive should. The area that they store that stuff in is the old cargo holds of the Queen Mary. And some of the windows are broken, some of them are just left permanently open. So there have been times where birds like seagulls have come in and roosted and stuff like that, and the weather comes in, so you get the fog, you get the dampness of the rain weather, and then you get the dryness of the hot summers, and, you know, so yeah, they do have a type of archive. It's really just a large storage area that used to be the cargo holds on the Queen Mary. But it is by no means cared for the way a proper archive should be taken care of, you know. So it is unfortunate. I'd like to see them improve that and preserve more things, because there's a lot of artifacts aboard the Queen Mary that are not on display, that are in the storage areas that should be cared for. Christian. Yeah, it is. That is really massive. I have footage walking by that and stuff. It's pretty big. Jeffrey says, if you won a trip on the QE2, but the sailing was to Mexico, would you go? Yeah, I'd go, but I just wouldn't get off the ship. I'd go. Doc, thank you so much, Doc, for the donation. Happy Thanksgiving, Alex. I think you'd enjoy Peaky Blinders. I would too. Yeah, that's another show I want to watch. So, Kluger says, is the Queen Mary actually haunted? I feel like it's bad marketing to claim that your establishment is haunted. So, let me put it this way. If you believe in ghosts, yes, there's a possibility the Queen Mary is a little bit haunted. Maybe things like hearing a voice, or getting a pat on the shoulder, or, you know, stuff like that. Small things. Maybe seeing a shadow in the corner of your eye that moves. The Queen Mary might be haunted in that way. But by no means is she haunted with these extravagant stories of little girls being drowned in swimming pools, men cutting up their families, and, you know, like that kind of stuff is just ridiculous. All that stuff is fake. It's not true. And then the whole thing about, you know, there's these the psychic mediums say that, oh, there's a portal on the Queen Mary and that's why there's so many No, there isn't. That part's all fake. I do believe in ghosts. I've seen ghosts myself, and I've been part of quite a few things that I feel have no other explanation except ghosts. But I do not believe the Queen Mary is haunted so badly like they market. It is just little things. Just little whispers, taps on the shoulder, that kind of thing. But by no means is it like, you know, just that dramatically haunted. If you don't believe in ghosts, then no, technically the Queen Mary is not haunted because you don't believe in ghosts, you know. But, yeah, it's just, there's a lot of marketing. But as to, you know, your comment about, like, that you think it's a bad marketing claim for, that your business is haunted. If it's a small house, right? It's actually a good marketing. Oops, almost dropped my tea. It's a good marketing thing if you have a small house, right? Like, or even just a big mansion. Even, I've seen it work for you know, buildings that large. You market it as haunted, and that works for your business because otherwise that house would not be earning money. It would just be costing money. But for the Queen Mary, the ship is so large and so expensive to maintain that the whole marketing of the ship being haunted is not enough to sustain it every day of the year round. It's just not, you know. The Winchester Mystery House is sitting on solid ground, aside from some occasional paint touch-ups and, you know, maybe some re-roofing every once in a while. It really doesn't require that much maintenance compared to the Queen Mary. So, you know, Queen Mary's maintenance budget is $5 million per year. And not to mention you have all the expenses of running the staffing, the restaurants, all that stuff. There's no restaurants inside the Winchester Mystery House. All that stuff is outside. If, you know, there's a gift shop, I think there's a little cafe, there's, you know, visitor center, but, you know, nothing inside the building itself. So the building itself doesn't really cost that much to maintain, and therefore it just earns a ton of money. But yeah, when you're going to try to, like, you know, turn a ship the size of Queen Mary into a haunted ship, it will not earn enough money to sustain itself. You can probably do it for a smaller steamship. There's a ship in Seattle called the Virginia V. If they had marketed that as haunted, which I don't think they do, but if they had, it probably could sustain it. But that's a big maybe, you know. So Daniel says, hey Alex, is there any fishies that live where the Queen Mary is located and any other animals? Well, certainly, because they're in Long Beach Harbor. And the breakwater wall that surrounds the Queen Mary is not entirely just rocks. There's large tubes that have been inserted in the rocks to allow for better flow of seawater from the harbor into the lagoon, so that way the water can easily change out every time there's a tide, because you need that to happen so the water doesn't stagnate. So those tubes is how, like, other fish and invertebrates and, shellfish get into the lagoon and out of the lagoon as well. So yeah, there's animals and things. Nothing like major, there's no like leviathans or anything swimming around there, like the kraken or anything like that. But yeah, Luger says, have you been to the USS Iowa? No, I haven't. Let's see. Christian says, how many revolutions per minute does the Queen Mary's propeller spin at when she is going full speed? Per minute? Oh, geez. Well, let's see. If she does approximately 3 to 4 revolutions per second at top speed, then, yeah, let's see. 4 times 60. So that's what, 240 revolutions per minute? I think that sounds about right, actually. I do remember hearing it was just about 200 to 200 something. So yeah, 240 revolutions per minute, probably at maximum. I gotta eat these sandwiches before they get stale. Yeah, the USS Iowa does sound interesting. I just haven't been there before. Dyslexic Batnum says, it's fine to claim it's haunted. They just shouldn't have only focused on that aspect so much. It even pushes away some people who might be scared of ghosts. You're 100% correct. I see no harm in, offering a nightly ghost tour or something. But what the Queen Mary has done for the last 30 years is they've only pushed the haunted aspect. Maybe on occasion they have like a Princess Diana exhibit. They have like a Winston Churchill exhibit. It's just tiny little exhibits. That doesn't really like mean that they're not so focused on the ghosts. But they have been 100% focused on ghosts. And just pigeonholing themselves into that niche market is just not good for a ship that size and that expensive. And the proof is in the pudding. The ship was bankrupt before the ship closed for the pandemic. It was not going to last much longer. And it was in terrible neglect and disrepair. It's just that marketing scheme was just not enough to sustain it, So, what was I going to say? And the fact that it pushes away some people that might be scared of ghosts. That is 100% correct. Most people don't bring their children. And, I understand some adults are like, great, I don't like children. That's fine, but if you want to keep visiting the ship, you're going to need some children to show up to the ship. And some people are crazy enough to bring their kids to the Queen Mary, even though it's super haunted, supposedly. But in the end, there just aren't that many families with kids showing up to the Queen Mary, which is what makes the most money. When the kids have days off of school on the weekends, you want to take them somewhere. And the locals should be able to take them to the Queen Mary and just have a fun time as a family. That doesn't mean that you gotta install, childish exhibits and games and things like that. I think a lot of people misunderstand what that means. It doesn't mean that at all. It just means just don't make it so focused on ghosts. That's all. That's really all it takes. But yeah, there are a lot of people who have told me personally on this channel or in person, they're like, oh, I heard the Queen Mary's really haunted. I'm never going there. And that is the problem. Is there is so many people out there that the ship could be marketing to, but they're only focusing on the haunted aspect, and because of that, you know, people don't want to go there. It's just, not to mention that the ship is in such disrepair, or was in such disrepair before it closed, that people staying in the hotel were just not happy with the experience. People who were walking around were not happy with the experience. I mean, one person told me just yesterday, they said, oh, if the Queen Mary is going to reopen the same as it was when it closed, I'm not going to go back. Because when they were last there, almost everything that they thought they could explore was closed behind a locked door. There was pretty much nothing to see or do. And that was my experience as well. When I went in 2020, you know, you see on the internet, you see all these grand, beautiful rooms and salons and, you know, and lounges, but really they were all locked behind closed doors for, you know, waiting to be booked for banquets, even though they weren't booked. And so to prevent people from getting a sneak peek of something that maybe they could be paying for, they just kept it behind a locked door. And so the result was there wasn't much else to see on the ship besides that. I mean, yeah, you had the engineering spaces and you had the bridge, but really there wasn't much else. So it was quite a disappointment, and I can see why people wouldn't want to spend $40 per person just to walk around a bunch of hallways. It's just not, you know, you gotta like open up the big rooms for people to explore. So, yeah, I agree with you entirely. Everyone's asking about the Russian submarine. There's nothing happening to it right now. They want it. The city of Long Beach wants to get rid of it, but they don't own it. Nobody owns it currently. That's the problem. So they're trying to figure that out. Let's see. Daniel says, another ship I like is the Campania. I think it's because I love its bridge design. I love the Campania as well. Let's see. Hello, Mike. Yeah, I don't think the submarine next to the Queen Mary is going to get restored. You know, I was talking to the city, and they basically told me, they're like, yeah, we want to get rid of it, but, you know, we don't own it, so we can't just get rid of it. And nobody owns it, so nobody's going to step up and say, okay, I'll pay to get rid of it. So, yeah, but they don't want it there. They know that it's a problem for the ship, so. Hello, Emma. Justin, yeah, well said. Emma says, can you sneak onto Queen Mary? Been closed for too long. Rappel up the side late at night. No, you can't sneak onto the Queen Mary. Dyslexic Batnum says, can the city buy it to get rid of it? Well, that's the thing. It doesn't have an owner, so who do you buy it from? It's basically in limbo right now. When something doesn't have an owner, and it's a significant something, you don't know what to do with it. You know, you can't buy it if there's no owner. You can't get rid of it if there's no owner to say okay. And, you know, and yeah, it's kind of a mess. There is a way out of it, but it'll take a long time to kind of settle the litigations and stuff like that, you know. But as for the city buying it, though, they're not going to buy it. It's basically a trash heap. Like, it is so rotten all the way through. It is very nearly going to sink into the harbor. So, the city does not want to buy that submarine because they're just going to have to buy it and then pay to get rid of it. So they don't want to spend money on something that, like, if you know, like, let's say I crumpled up this thing, this napkin. I crumpled it up and it's ready to be thrown into the trash because it's garbage. Am I going to go, oh, let me buy that for $1 and then pay to have the garbage man come pick it up? No, it's like you want whoever owns this piece of junk to take care of it for you because it's not yours. So that's kind of the problem that's happening right now. So City of Long Beach wants to spend their money on restoring the Queen Mary. They don't want to spend the money on buying a submarine that they eventually have to spend more money on to get rid of, you know. But the city has said that if they were able to get control of the submarine, they would look for ways to fund its demolition. They said possibly scrap it, but most likely it would have to be just demolished and thrown away. But it's, again, that's not easy. You're asking them to spend millions of dollars on something that will eventually go away and not give them any money back. So, yeah. Kevin Stewart says, get someone to pay to get rid of the sub. That's great, but who do you pay if it doesn't have an owner? You know. Let's see. Christian says, wait, how did the Russian submarine get there in the first place? It's kind of a long story, but basically it was retired in, I think, 1994 from the Russian military. It was sent to a museum on the east coast of the United States. It was there for a couple of years, and then it was purchased by a private company, which moved it all the way to Long Beach in 1998 to set it up next to the Queen Mary. They got special permission to do that. And that private company was kind of going out of business. In 2015, the submarine closed and was abandoned. The owner still owned it, though, but that owner became very elderly and incapable of taking care of it anymore or running the business. They effectively abandoned the submarine there, and they claim that they gave ownership of the submarine to Queen Mary's then current lessee, Urban Commons. When Urban Commons went bankrupt and was basically just dissolving in 2021, the city of Long Beach was asking them to pay to get rid of the sub. Urban Commons, which again just doesn't exist anymore, was saying, no, we don't own it anyway, you know, because we never received any paperwork or anything that says it's ours. But the previous owner is probably dead now. So, you know, it's technically it would be owned by Urban Commons, even if they don't have the thing, because, you know, it was on their lease. They were technically taking care of it, whatever that means, because they weren't actually taking care of it. You see how complicated it is? Like, it's hard for me to even, like, get it out and, like, tell you, but basically Urban Commons no longer exists anymore. So there's nobody who owns the submarine. And they would have to kind of prove that the submarine is still owned by the previous owner, who might be that private company, but that private company no longer exists either. And the man who ran that company is probably dead. So there's pretty much like nobody to take care of the submarine. And of course, if the city claims that to haul, like to get a crane, a bunch of cranes out there, get the thing onto dry land, have it professionally cleaned so that way when they start scrapping it, it doesn't pollute the environment, then pay to scrap it, because with something like that, like you pay scrappers to tear it apart. That kind of thing, it would end up costing closer to $5 million. And the people of Long Beach, they're already upset that the city funding is going towards things like the Queen Mary. They don't want to pay another $5 million for something that shouldn't be Long Beach's problem in the first place. So, yeah, it's a really messy situation. There will be a conclusion to it, though. It's just that we've yet to see what it will be. It's not impossible to get rid of that submarine. It's just gonna take some time before somebody finally decides, all right, I'll do it. So. Linda Solis says, hello, Alex. Happy tea time. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Thank you so much, and you as well. MS Jack's Ship's Adventure says, Queen Mary lasted longer than her friend Carnival Inspiration. Yeah, that's true. Mike says, I thought it was a German submarine. No, it was a Russian submarine. It's a Foxtrot class Scorpion submarine. Let's see. Robert says, heard something cool yesterday when RN was designing the QE interior or carriers. They were looking for a parent hull, so they used Queen Mary 2's hull. She was the only other ship that was comparable in size and speed. Is that true? That's hard to believe, but I mean, MS Jack's Ships. That's pretty cool. Did your nan used to work in New York or something and have like an office or something where she could look out onto the harbor? Brian says, Alex, what if Long Beach claims eminent domain for the sub? They can. If they can prove that no one owns it. And if they prove that, then they can claim eminent domain. But again, the cost of doing all that themselves is closer to $5 million. The city of Long Beach can't justify that to its community. The community basically say, wait, hold on. Why are we putting our hard-earned tax money into paying for this piece of garbage to be thrown away, when it should have been done by somebody else who owns it? So it's just complex, you know what I mean? Like imagine someone came knocking on your door and they're like, hi, we need to throw away this garbage out here. Can you give me money for that? And it's like, it's not my garbage. Why am I paying you money for it? So that's how the people of Long Beach will feel if the city decides to spend $5 million to get rid of that thing themselves. So the city is not exactly excited to want to claim eminent domain for that. If they have to, they will, just to save the Queen Mary, because that submarine, if it sinks, it could tumble down the embankment underwater and then it could get lodged underneath the Queen Mary. It won't be a catastrophic thing for the Queen Mary, but it certainly won't be pleasant to have to repair. But yeah, so again, this is all about money. Nobody wants to spend money. So that's the problem that's happening right now, is trying to figure out who should be the ones to spend the money to get rid of it. So, let's see. Yeah, Emma, I agree. We should pay to support the ship. Oh, interesting, Robert. I didn't know that. MS Jack's ships. That's pretty cool. Tyler says, this is going to sound like a stupid question, but what if Long Beach just scraps the submarine anyway, since nobody owns it? Well, again, Tyler, it's the same answer. Somebody has to pay for it. And if the city decides to scrap it themselves, they have to pay for that. You know, so they would have to pay a company to come out, clean the submarine, so that way when they scrap it, it will not pollute the environment while they're scrapping it. Because, you know, when you cut up something like a submarine, oil or fuel leaks out and that kind of thing. So you got to clean it first before you can scrap it. So, again, and the point is, just that aside, the point is it will cost them close to $5 million. The city is not happy to spend that money themselves, because they would have to tell the tax-paying citizens of the city, sorry, we're using your money to pay for disposing of someone else's garbage. So that's why they're not exactly jumping for joy over doing it themselves. If they can avoid it, they're going to try to avoid doing it themselves. They're going to try to find somebody and claim that they are the owner, and then have that owner pay to remove the submarine. So, you know, again, it's just not, it's not what anybody wants. Again, it goes back to someone like knocking on your door and saying, hey, I'm going to throw out this garbage that's outside. Can you give me money for it? And it's like, why? That's not my garbage. Why am I paying you money to get rid of it? You know, so it's that kind of thing. It's also kind of like, you know, I live in an apartment complex and I pay a fee for them taking care of the apartment complex. And part of that, though, is that people will abandon their furniture on the side of the driveway. And then what happens is, the more people that do that, the more they charge in the fee every year for taking care of the apartment complex. So technically, they're forcing me to pay more money every year for something that other people are doing. I'm paying for the apartment complex to get rid of other people's garbage, which is not fair to me. So that's the same analogy for what it would be like for the city of Long Beach. The taxpayers would have to front that money, and, you know, they might have to raise taxes to make up for it as well, because, you know, imagine all this stuff that they're doing with the Queen Mary, and then getting rid of the submarine, and then doing improvements to the area surrounding the Queen Mary. That's going to start costing a lot of money, and that means that they're probably going to have to raise the local taxes. The citizens are not going to be happy with that. So again, nobody is excited to spend money on getting rid of this submarine. So, let's see. Marx has just put up a sign, free to a good home you pick up. That would be hilarious. All right. Oh, wow, it's already 5 o'clock. an hour has passed and it just doesn't feel like that. Which is good because, you know. Kluger says, how deep is the water that the Queen Mary's in? Well, the tide is always changing, but there's an estimated, you know, between 12 to 18 feet of water underneath the Queen Mary at any given time. So yeah, about 12 to 18 feet of water underneath the keel of the Queen Mary. Kluger says, how long does its water line extend to the bottom of the lagoon? Like the Queen Mary? The Queen Mary has a draft. Well, she was built to have a draft of 39 feet. But in Long Beach, her draft is a little bit shallower because she doesn't weigh as much as she used to. So her draft in Long Beach is about 34 to 35 feet. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, hey, Mike. That's nice of you. Wow. Kluger says, what about the submarine? How tall is it? I don't know. No idea. Tyler says, are you interested in reading books on the RMS Queen Elizabeth? Yeah, I would be if it was a good book. I spend so much money on books, though. I've had to become very selective about what I buy. I don't want to buy anything that's just... I don't know. So I'd have to like look through it first and make sure that it's pretty accurate and stuff, because some books you buy them, like there's like some Queen Mary books where I look through it and I'm like, this is like a book for children, really. And so I'm like, I don't want to spend money on that. I'd rather buy something that's more like in depth. So I don't know. But I mean, yeah, generally speaking, I would be interested in a Queen Elizabeth book. But yeah, I have so many books I have to read. Christian says, the reason I bought the book on a Sea of Glass is because I love the story of Titanic. That's what sparked my interest of ocean liners. Interesting. Let me look those books up right now. Oh, I've seen this book. Oh, that's not such a bad price. I'll put that on my wish list. Chris says, two of my favorite books is The Unseen Olympic and The Unseen Britannic. I've heard of that series, The Unseen Books. Jimmy Lance says, what video do you have planned next, Alex? The video I have planned next that I've been working on is about Queen Mary's dog kennels. So, yeah. I'm about halfway done making that video, so I'm going to try to finish it tomorrow while I'm cooking the turkey, so that way it'll be ready for Friday. That's my hope, at least. Hello, Elvis Gaming. Chris says, however, I wouldn't mind having the book The Unseen Lusitania and Mauretania. They also look interesting to me. I want those books too. I really do. I have a book about the engineering of the Mauretania, but I'd like a book like that one. The Unseen Lusitania, Unseen Mauretania. Jimmy Lance says, how long does it usually take you to make a video? I've kind of worked it out into a formula. Basically, for every minute the video is approximately 2 hours worth of work. So, yeah. So for every minute of a video, it takes approximately 2 hours to work on it. So, yeah. It's a lot of work. It's really a lot of work. It's like this dog kennel one. It's going to be a short video, but it's taking so long, you know, because there's a lot of work that has to go into it. I have to find the photographs that work with it. That's not easy. You know, sometimes you just have to dig and dig and dig for hours before you find something that you're like, okay, this photo might be able to work. And there, like for instance, there's a photo I found. It's of the bellboys walking the dogs. And the thing about the photo is, though, that it's the only one of its kind on the internet. But the photo is so low resolution. It is 300 pixels by 200 pixels, which, for those of you that don't know, is so small. It is smaller than, like, it is like half the size of the screen of an iPod. You know, like an old iPod, the old little square screen it had. It's half the size of that. That's how big the photograph is. It's tiny. And I need to blow it up so it'll fit on someone's 75-inch 4K TV. When you blow up something that small to something that large, it looks like it looks like a black and white, you know, watercolor dabbing. It just doesn't look like a photograph. So a long time ago, I invested in software that uses AI technology to upgrade the image and make it look sharper and cleaner and better. And sometimes it works really well, sometimes it doesn't work so well. And thankfully, that photograph, when I ran it through that software and converted it to a high-definition image, it looks pretty good. Except that the faces of the bellboys look demonic. So, people are just going to have to deal with that because the rest of the image looks great. So, but it takes time to do all that. When I find video footage of an ocean liner and I want to use it, I have the same problem. It's a really low quality, and I've got to be able to convert it to something high quality that can be blown up onto a large screen. And so I run it through the software. The software, it can take hours to do that. So, it's not easy. It's just not, and it just takes forever. So, and the funny thing is about my videos, I don't even put the amount of graphic detail that people put in their videos. Like, you might see people have all these flashy, like, you know, part 1, the beginning, and then part 2, the middle, you know, like things like that. I don't put that in my videos because that's just more time. It just takes more time to, like, animate that and make that work. And I did that for a few videos. Like, I did one comparing Queen Mary to Titanic, and I had a little bit of that flair in there, you know, make it look more professional. But again, it just takes time. And sometimes I work, you know, like, what was a video I did recently? Oh, geez, I can't. I made a video recently that I was so proud of, but nobody, like, well, very few people watched it. Let me see. Oh, yeah. I did a video about Seattle's abandoned underground city, which I thought, oh, this is going to get a lot of views. People are going to love this. This is like gold, right? It got only 834 views out of the 7 days it's been around. For context, in 7 days, I would normally have like 30,000 views or more. So it's only got 834 views right now. And yeah, that's one of those videos where it takes time, you know. Yeah. And the Vampires of the Ursuline Convent. That one took me a lot of time. The Vampires of the Ursuline Convent. Yeah, that was a 10-minute video. Yeah, that was easily a 20 to 25 hour video to produce. And easily. It probably was even 30 hours, to be totally honest. Yeah, that was a lot of hard work. And it's been seen by 2,000 people so far, which is great, but that was it was posted a month ago. Normally by now that video would have at least 30. It would be a less popular video, granted. So I will say for a month that video would probably have 30,000 views normally for a month. So, but it's only at 2K. So it's like I put in all this like hard work and then it doesn't get that many views, which means it doesn't earn that much ad revenue, which means I spent a lot of time and money on something that didn't make that return. It's kind of like when a movie studio produces a movie, they spend all this money on it, and then it comes back and it doesn't make that much money, and they actually just ended up like, spending a lot. So that's kind of the same thing here, but just on a really small scale. So yeah, that was one of those things. Jimmy says, the first video I saw of yours was about how ocean liners disappeared. And it was awesome and straight to the point. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much. Yeah, that video... I was particularly happy about that video, actually. But it didn't get a lot of... I don't think a lot of people really liked it. I'm trying to remember. I think that's the video where I actually had to remove the comment section. I think that was it, but there was one video where I had to remove the comment section because the comments were so overwhelmingly negative. And I was like, geez, like, I made that video because there are people out there who maybe aren't so familiar with ocean liners. And the problem with the ocean liner community is that sometimes they can be a bit of a snobbish community, If you don't know a bunch about ocean liners, they will make fun of you for it, and they will, dislike you for it. So I thought, well, I'm going to make this video about why ocean liners disappeared, so that way I can, help people who are just barely introduced to ocean liners to just get a quick and simple answer. But the problem when you produce videos like that is then the people who are ocean liner experts come in and they're like, this is so simple, this is so dumb, and blah, 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 and everybody should know, and blah, 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 blah. And, because they can't see past their own nose, so they just go, they just assume that everything that they know should be common knowledge, and it's really not. Most people don't know that there's a difference between a cruise ship and an ocean liner. Most people don't know that. But the ocean liner snobs, as I call them, they spend so much time around people of their own kind, they don't remember what it's like to be someone who starts off not knowing anything. I've always been the kind of person where if I want to share my interests with somebody, then I don't mind explaining the basics, because that's the fun part, actually, is kind of introducing someone to the basics of something. It was like that when I was still in the Disney community. You know, when I was a tour guide at Disneyland, there was this big Disney community, and you know, and they knew a lot about the history of the park. But you know, when I would give people tours of Disneyland as part of my job there, you know, I would explain even the basics to, you know, to the people I was touring around, because you just really didn't know who knew what or who didn't. And I remember this one guest was like, boy, you know, like, it seems like the only thing you're telling us is like the basic knowledge. I'm like, well, frankly, I don't know what knowledge you have. If you're very advanced in your knowledge about Disney history, then I can get even further in it with you. I'm like, but for safety, I just start off with the basics, so that way people don't feel like they have to catch up and understand something, you know? So, yeah, it's just, society. So uncouth. Tyler says, if it's not too bold to say, if I knew how to cook a Thanksgiving dinner and you live near me, I would invite you to Thanksgiving dinner. Thank you. But I always spend Thanksgiving with my family, so it's like the one time a year where we can all just come together and just, you know, be a family together. Goofy Rolls says, hi, Alex. Your tea times is like spending an afternoon with good friends. Thanks. That's what I'm going for. Tyler says, first video I saw of yours was your apartment, and then your Haunted Mansion videos. Fell in love right then and there. Well, thank you. Yeah, those Haunted Mansion videos definitely took some effort. John says, hi, Alex. Just bought YouTube Premium. Hope you're getting a small piece of that. I think I do. I think, when someone, even if someone has YouTube Premium or something, and they watch my channel, I still get a piece of that, I think. Chris says, have you ever heard of the Netflix or Hulu TV show 1899 Dark? Oh, yeah. I have. I haven't watched it yet. Like I was saying earlier in the live stream that my friend Chris and I, we watch a lot of shows together. And we want to get to 1899, but right now we're trying to finish some other shows that we're watching, because I suppose he doesn't like watching more than like 4 shows at once. You know what I'm saying? Like, because then he starts forgetting what each show is about. So we're trying to finish one so we can get to 1899. And we're trying to finish Season 4 of The Crown so we can get to Season 5 of The Crown. So Jimmy says, I appreciate all the details and how you add the basics in your videos. It actually really helps. I wouldn't know the history of the Queen Mary if it wasn't for you. Oh, thank you. That makes me feel really good, because, you know, it's what I started doing after I, you know, stopped doing Disney content, basically, was I really wanted to introduce people to the Queen Mary, because when I first started learning about the Queen Mary, it seemed that only the most avid ocean liner fans really knew about the Queen Mary. Other than that, most people who knew anything about ocean liners knew pretty much just Titanic. And I thought, you know, that's a shame, because in 1967, when the Queen Mary retired, she was the most famous ocean liner in the world. Even more famous than Titanic back then. What made Titanic so darn famous was actually James Cameron's 1997 movie. That movie just propelled Titanic into the stratosphere. And it became like one of the most... It became the most popular ocean liner topic ever. So most people are introduced to Titanic through that. Of course, before James Cameron's movie, most people who were introduced to Titanic did so because of things like A Night to Remember or something like that, you know. But James Cameron's movie really just slingshotted the Titanic subject into everybody's consciousness. But if you can believe it, before that, the most famous ocean liner was Queen Mary, at least by the time she retired. So now today, you talk about the Queen Mary, and most people really don't know what the Queen Mary is. And if you find people who know what the Queen Mary is, then they have a very limited understanding. You tell them about the Queen Mary, they might go, oh yeah, that's that old cruise ship that's in Long Beach, right? They don't know what it is. And it's really a shame because, the Queen Mary just did so much for both the United States and the United Kingdom and the world, basically, because it really did travel around the world as well. So, it's worthy of being remembered, So that's why I was kind of like, I want to start doing a lot of Queen Mary content to just really try to teach people a lot of amazing stuff. I learned something new today, believe it or not. I'm working on my video about Queen Mary's dog kennels, and there is an interesting little fun fact in there, which I'm not gonna spoil it for you guys, but there's an interesting little fun fact in there that I had no idea, and it has to do with the famous aviator Charles Lindbergh. Yeah. So I was like, what? I read this and I was like, there's no way that the Queen Mary, like Charles Lindbergh is tied to the Queen Mary, even in this little insignificant way. I'm like, it's crazy when you learn all this stuff about the ship. The Queen Mary, there's a reason why it was so famous. Just the most influential people in the world had a Queen Mary story, and even to this day, you ask anybody that knows anything about the Queen Mary, and they'll tell you that they either have been to or seen the Queen Mary, or they know someone who's been to or seen the Queen Mary. And that goes for people around the world. And so it's just really crazy to think that this ship, it's not as famous as it used to be, but the evidence of its fame is still there in the fact that, like I said, you're likely to know somebody who has a Queen Mary story. That is just fantastic. That is just amazing, So you can't say that about Titanic. You can't say oh yeah, I know someone who's been on the Titanic. Nobody can. It's so rare, But the Queen Mary, you probably know somebody who's been on the Queen Mary. That's how crazy it is. It's just fantastic. So Eternal Travel says, something I don't like about the ocean liner community is some of them judge me for liking a certain ship they like or disliking a ship they like. That's an interesting topic because I don't like the idea of judging someone for something that they like or dislike, So I have preferences on ocean liners. There are ocean liners that I love the most, like the Queen Mary. And there's ocean liners that I really don't like all that much. I don't hate it, but I don't like it all that much. And ocean liners like the SS United States or SS Normandy, I'm just not a fan of them. But people have, in the past, been pretty judgmental about that, They tell me that I must not have any taste if I don't like the Normandy. And I'm like, that's not necessarily true, And it's quite often, like I say, I would love the Sistine Chapel, but I wouldn't want to sleep there overnight, Same thing with the SS Normandy. SS Normandy is interesting to look at, but I wouldn't want to stay aboard, So it's just kind of things like that. And the thing is that everybody has a different opinion, and everybody has their preferences, or some people don't even have preferences for ocean liners. There are a few people out there that love every ocean liner just as equally as the last, which is mind-boggling to me because to me, that's the equivalent of saying, oh, I like every car that's ever been made. It doesn't matter if one is like a, a Chevy Volt or if the other one is, a Lamborghini. Like, to me, that is mind-boggling that someone would put, like, one ocean liner that is totally not popular in with the same league as a very popular ocean liner and think of them the same way. Like, that blows my mind. But yeah, there are people that are like that. And so, yeah, I try to make this channel all about not being judgmental, because because I don't like the SS United States or SS Normandy that much, doesn't mean I'm gonna judge someone for, that being their favorite ship, Everybody's got their own opinions, Jimmy Lance says, I heard you like the Dark Crystal. I love it. I especially love the 2019 show of it. And the lore is amazing. The history is beautiful. Yes, 100% agree. I am a big fan of the Dark Crystal. I've been a Dark Crystal fan since I was... How old was I? First time I ever saw Dark Crystal was probably when I was 13. So yeah, I've been... Oh, gosh, it's been almost 20 years. Oh my god. Anyway, yes. Yeah, so I've been a Dark Crystal fan since I was 13. And yeah, and then in 2019 when the TV show came out on Netflix, I was just blown away. I loved that show so much. I must have watched it twice in a row. In a row, as in once I finished the last episode, I started watching the first episode again. And then I made my friends watch it. The first person I forced them to watch was probably my friend Eric. And then later I forced my friend Chris to watch it. So yeah, I loved it so much. Yeah. The sad thing is, too, is that there's not going to be a second season to that show. So, I am a bit disappointed because it was such a good show. And it's not that the show wasn't interesting. It seems that anybody who's watched it really liked it. But the problem was that not many people watched it. Because the trailers, they looked at it, they didn't really know what to think. I mean, it's a show with puppets, but it's also CGI a little bit. And they didn't really know, the story is kind of weird. It takes place on a different planet. There's no humans, and it's strange. And it is strange. It's strange, but it's a good show. It was really, really good. The movie's really good, but it is quite weird and confusing. The show is much better at introducing people to the universe than the movie is. But yeah, it's one of those things where you have to get over how weird it is in order to enjoy the story. It's a really good story. Joseph says, love your train set. I have one in storage. I used to set it up for Christmas. Set up a Christmas Village train set every year. Awesome. Yeah, this is a whole train layout I'm working on. I'm hoping that maybe by spring of next year, it'll be at a stage of completion where it will look completed, even though it won't. It never is. I mean, if you own a train layout that you work on, anybody who does knows that you're never quite finished. But I'm hoping that by spring of next year, it will look so complete that people will think it's complete, and that would make me happy. So we'll see. It's been slow going just because I've been so busy, but Tyler says, what is the Dark Crystal? Tyler, if you have Netflix, look for The Dark Crystal Age of Resistance and watch the first episode all the way through. If you don't watch it all the way through, I can't guarantee that you'll even know whether or not you'll like the show. But you have to see the first episode all the way through. And if you don't like it by the end of the first episode, then you'll know you're probably not going to like the series. But, yeah. It's a good show. And if you make it through the series, then you have to go on Amazon or something and look for the movie. Because the movie is... Like the series is the prequel to the movie. And I do suggest watching the series first. Because it eases you into the world a lot better than the movie does, I think. So... Dyslexic Batnum. Yeah, it was made by Jim Henson. The movie was made by Jim Henson, and then the series was made by the Jim Henson Company. Chris says, I wouldn't mind seeing a James Cameron film about HMHS Britannic or RMS Lusitania. It would be interesting to see. Wouldn't mind seeing a film about the RMS Queen Mary. Yeah, I was talking about that yesterday and how a film about the Queen Mary probably wouldn't be that interesting. And not because the details of her history aren't interesting. It's because what really made Titanic work was, at the end of the movie, the ship sank in a really horrific way. And that left an impact on the viewers at the end of the movie. Well, Queen Mary never sank. Queen Mary never did anything that really brought the stakes up. You know what I'm saying? So the problem with making a movie about the Queen Mary is that it would have this almost blah ending. Because while she did kind of end with a bang, you know, she went on this big cruise and then she had this huge welcoming when she came to Long Beach. Like, yeah, that's, you know, that works, but it's not the kind of ending that you want, like, a Hollywood blockbuster to end on. You know, you want to see some tragedy, and fortunately the Queen Mary can't really offer that. So, yeah, Titanic worked because it was like James Cameron set up the story like it was some kind of ticking time bomb, you know, like it was like things are leading up to it, and then finally, you know, it's done, it's gone. So, oh, see you later, Goofy Rolls. Happy Thanksgiving. Mike, yes, the movie Dark Crystal was made in the early 80s. But the TV show is from 2019. Jimmy. Oh, I see. Petitions and fundraisers for the second season. I mean, that would be great if there was a second season, but the whole reason why Netflix didn't do it was because it was a really expensive show, and they just didn't get enough viewers, so. But I would love for there to be a second season. Alright, folks, I have to get going now because I have to do some cleaning. My dad's going to make the cranberry sauce for tomorrow, and then I got to order dinner or something. So I am going to get going. I got a lot of cleaning to do. But at least I got through all the food. I could have made another cup of tea, but I was just talking so much that I didn't think about it. And now the tea is cold, and it's my favorite tea too. It's Earl Grey, so I hate wasting a cup of Earl Grey. But anyway, folks, yeah, I'm going to get going. But I wanted to say, first of all, next tea time will be Sunday at 3:30 p.m. Pacific time. So that's that. Friday, God willing, it should be the next history video, which is the Queen Mary's dog kennels. And also keep an eye out, possibly Saturday, maybe, for the next chapter of the audiobook RMS Queen Mary, Queen of the Queens by William J. Duncan. Yeah, and otherwise, for those of you that are celebrating Thanksgiving tomorrow, which is Thursday, then happy Thanksgiving to everybody. It's been really great having you on this channel. I gotta say that for me, if I had to say what I was thankful for Thanksgiving for you guys, it would be that you guys are what I'm thankful for. You guys help keep the channel going. You guys are interested in all the stuff I'm interested in. I get to talk to you all the time on these tea time live streams, which is why I keep doing them, because that's what makes it so fun, is to be able to have conversations with you guys and just to hang out and relax, you know. And so it helps make the apartment feel less lonely. So anyway, but it's been really great, and so I will see you guys all on Sunday. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Bye-bye.